we went through what I would call the roommate phase. Whoever gave the advice not to go to bed angry at your partner made a mistake. Your time to yourself is like quartered. Hello and welcome to today's video. If this is your first time here, I'm Amber. I make kind of crunchy motherhood and lifestyle videos. If you like that sort of thing, please hit that subscribe button down below. I'd love to see you around here more often. When you have a baby, your relationship is going to change, and you might be thinking, duh, and I did too, but I found that the reality was much different than my expectation. I expected some challenges on some level, but I also had it in my head that having a baby is just supposed to be the best, most magical time of your life, and you're just gonna be floating on cloud nine the whole time, which sometimes you are. So I thought because of that Alex and I weren't going to encounter any challenges that were like really going to rock us, but they did. The good news is that Alex and I really came out better and stronger as a unit after we went through these rough patches. So today I am sharing with you 6 things that really helped us navigate and cope with the changes to our relationship after we had a baby, and I think they'll be really helpful for you as well. The first thing is just to know ahead of time when you are having a baby that changes and some potential rough patches are coming to you and your relationship, and just to know that it's not a bad thing and it's pretty normal. It can feel kind of tough because of course you've just added a new human to your lives. You need to relearn what your dynamic is as a couple. You need to learn how to take care of this little baby, and on top of that you are usually pretty tired. But if you go into this viewing it as a way to work together as a team, you can really come out the other end stronger and better than before, because you look at each other and you're like, yeah, we freaking rocked that together. And also keep in mind that there probably won't just be one rough patch, because as your child grows and changes, there's going to be new fun things and new wins, but there's also going to be new challenges that you're going to encounter as they grow and change. The next thing is to have a we're on the same team mindset, not like a your way versus my way, but us against the problem kind of a mindset. One of the first major challenges that Alex and I went through in the first 4-ish months of Kai's life came from us not agreeing on how to handle some things with Kai. The best example I have of this was when we were going through sleep regressions. Alex was more team let him cry for a little bit, and I was like, no, we need to just pick him up right away and comfort him. And we both felt very, very strongly, because of course we're tired and you just want the best for your baby, both of you do, and you want them to be okay and well, and so you both might feel like very strongly about whatever your opinion is. So we had to have quite a few heart-to-heart talks during this time, because we found that we were just arguing so much more, and it was frustrating, 1, because we were just tired, but 2, because we were arguing over something that we both wanted the same solution to at the end of the day. What we found to be really helpful is sometimes during one of those arguments, one of us would just out loud say to the other one, hey, remember, we're on the same team. And a lot of times that would just diffuse the situation and kind of help us like recalibrate, and so that we could come back and actually have a discussion about what to do instead of an argument. During the newborn phase, try to offset who takes the baby in some way, shape, or form, so that you both can get little windows of sleep here and there. The sleep deprivation is really one of the things that can just get you. Like, you know you're gonna be tired when you are gonna have a baby, but depending on how good of a sleeper your baby is or not, it is hard. And that's not to scare you, it's just to say that you want to make sure that you have some sort of a plan so that you are both getting rest at some point in time. If you are breastfeeding, what we found to be helpful is that obviously, if you're the mom, you're probably going to be handling the majority of the night because they're going to want to feed. But then Alex would take Kai for an hour or two in the morning after I fed him in the morning so that I could get a couple hours of uninterrupted sleep. Another thing Alex would do that actually was really helpful is when Kai would wake up at night, he would get up, change him so that I had a moment to just collect myself before I was going to be up for 30-40 minutes feeding him, and then he'd give him to me, he'd go back to sleep, and then I would feed him and put him down. And that was also just helpful. Even though he was getting up, it wasn't very long, he was just changing his diaper and then he'd go back to sleep, but it was just helpful for me to just give me a moment to orient myself so that you don't just have to jump out of bed. If you're bottle feeding, I'm not as sure how that works, but I would think that you either could offset feedings, like one person gets up, feeds the baby, and then next time the other person, or you even could take nights, like one person does all the feedings for one night and then the next person does the next night so that you both get one full night of sleep. If you're a parent who bottle fed and you already went through this, comment down below what you did to handle the nights. I'd love to know, and I'm sure other moms would as well. Everyone's different, so you just have to find what works for you and your partner, but think about it, brainstorm, come up with a plan, and try it so that you both are getting some sleep. The fourth thing is to make sure that you're communicating your frustrations to your partner even if you're exhausted. I found in the first 6-ish months of Kai's life that I just a lot of times felt like I want to communicate this thing that's bothering me to you, but I am just too tired to even think about arguing about it. But it's so important as new parents that you are on the same page as much as possible, and so that you're not harboring resentment towards each other. This is actually where it can be really helpful to table a disagreement or a frustration for the next day. Whoever gave the advice not to go to bed angry at your partner made a mistake. 9 out of 10 times, those late night arguments are the worst because you're angry, but on top of it, you're exhausted. And so sometimes just saying, let's just talk about this tomorrow morning can really be beneficial because you've had time to rest, so you're gonna wake up a little bit more refreshed, you can have your coffee, and you might find that you are not even half as angry the next day because you've just had time to simmer down. Most of the time, our anger to something is more of a knee-jerk reaction, and once we've had time to calm down, we realize that that thing is really more of like a small frustration than a big deal. But the key here is to make sure that you actually talk about it the next day or whenever you decide to table it for, so that you can resolve the issue and it doesn't just kind of become something that floats away and then comes back like a month later and you're like, see? You want to plan and communicate when you need time for yourself. Everyone needs a little bit of you time to recharge and refill our cup, but when you have a baby, you basically go from being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, to only being able to do what you want in these small little windows that work because your baby has a schedule, and there's a good chance that you and your partner have a schedule too. Like if you're working, or even if you're a stay-at-home mom, you probably have some sort of a schedule when it comes to like taking care of the house, cooking, things like that. Your time to yourself is like quartered. Alex and I would get frustrated early on because he would finish with work and he'd be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the gym for 20-30 minutes, and I wanted him to have that time for himself because I know how important it is, but I would also be frustrated because this whole time I was thinking he's gonna finish with work and I'm gonna be able to hand him Kai and I'm gonna go take a bath. And the opposite would happen too, where at some point I would just randomly be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go do this, bye. What we realized is that a little bit of forethought and communication made a really big difference. So at the very beginning of the day, if either of us or both of us wanted to do something for ourselves, we would let the other person know, hey, just so you know, today I would like to take 20 minutes to do some yoga or whatever it is. And that way we could kind of come up with like a loose plan to make sure that we both could do that thing that we wanted to do. And there were some times that the day was so packed that we would say, you know, today it really makes more sense for you to do your thing, and then tomorrow morning I'll do my thing. And that was okay, because at least in that situation, even if one of us knew we weren't gonna get our you time that day, we knew it was coming the next day. And when you have that consistent me time, it's so much easier to come together and really enjoy like the we time. The last thing is to plan when you're going to have sex. This feels so weird to talk about. When you put your baby down and you and your partner are both there, you guys have some options. You could try to get in a little bit of sleep yourselves. You can kind of just like veg out and watch some TV. You can both take time for yourselves, or you can come together and have an intimate moment. What Alex and I found was that a lot of the time, I would have one plan in mind and he would have another plan in mind. So basically, I would be thinking all day like, oh yes, when we put Kai down to bed, I am going to go straight to sleep. I'm gonna feel so refreshed and relaxed the next day. And Alex would be thinking all day, when Kai goes down, it's on tonight. And so he would try to initiate sex and I would be like, don't touch me, I am going to bed. So then he would be frustrated and I would be frustrated as well, because of course he was thinking he was gonna get sex and I was like, how dare you try to encroach on my sleep, I'm exhausted. When Kai was about 10 months old, we went through what I would call the roommate phase, because we felt more just like two roommates who happened to have a baby together instead of a married couple. And this was largely because we were not being proactive about making sure that we were taking time to be intimate together, and really not even just physically intimate. Planning out when we were going to have sex was really, really helpful. You don't necessarily need to plan when you're gonna have sex a whole week in advance or anything, but to start, you wanna both get clear on the minimum amount of sex that you both need to feel satisfied, and make sure that you're both being reasonable with this. It doesn't mean that some weeks you can't have more, or some weeks there's just a lot going on and you have less, but at least this way you have a baseline to work off of. It might feel really weird to put a number on the amount of times that you or your partner feel like you need sex, but for us, that was just helpful in making sure that we both were getting an adequate amount of we time and me time. And then you want to let the person know either the night before or at least the morning of, hey, this is the day that I would like to have sex. Alex did not love the idea of this at first because of the lack of in the moment spontaneity, but when you have young children, not everything can be spontaneous, because they have a schedule, you have a schedule, and you might be tired as well. So some things just need to be planned. And this way you avoid the situation where you have a plan for how the night's gonna end, your partner has another plan, and you both end up being annoyed or disappointed. It's also not to say that you can't have some extra spontaneous sex in there. Like, it doesn't have to be, well, we agreed on 3 times a week, so that's it. You definitely can have those spontaneous moments if you feel like it, but at least this way you are both getting what you need to feel satisfied. And don't forget to be intimate with each other in other ways also. Like, if you're sitting on the couch and watching TV, don't sit on opposite ends of the couch. Like, sit next to each other. Make sure to take time to have conversations with each other about like how your day went, or when you go to bed at night, take 5 or 10 minutes just to like cuddle with each other before you both go to sleep. A lot of these really revolve around communication. So I guess the main takeaway from all of this is to over communicate with your partner, especially when you have a baby, instead of under communicating. Hopefully you found this video helpful if you're a new or expecting mom. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you'd like to keep up with me on a more day-to-day basis, make sure to head over to my Instagram and follow me over there. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.